Welcome to a new episode of Critical Hits. I'm one of the co-hosts of this show, Rob Flax, and this week we're going to be taking a look at University of Albany and their League of Legends esports team. Now these guys are coming in hot off of a win of the ECAC final versus the ECPI Rams. Now, in this show, we're going to be taking a look at some of those behind-the-scenes plays. Sure, you can watch a game and you see who's winning and who's losing, obviously, but why? What was the strategy? What was that deeper dive going on behind the scenes? What really happened in those team fights? And why was this strategy successful where it wasn't before? So that's what this show is going to do, and this week we're specifically looking at UAlbany and their League of Legends team. We're going to be taking a look at their mid laner and how what they were able to do against the ESPCI Rams was actually what they tried a few weeks earlier against SaintRose. We're going to be taking a look at the replays of both of those games, specifically their team fighting around the Dragon Pits, to take a look at how UAlbany is getting those wins. Thanks so much for joining me, and we're going to get into it right now. So we're going to begin by looking at UAlbany's game in the ECAC playoff round 1 against SaintRose, and specifically what the team comp that they are trying to go for. Now we can see that Varus is being first picked for their ADC Dolan, and Braum for their support Focus My ADC. Now these guys currently, as I'm sitting here recording this, are the highest ranking members in the League of Legends ranked competitive mode for UAlbany. Both of them are in Diamond, while the rest of the team seems to be hovering around Platinum. And I think that UAlbany seems to recognize that these guys are the stronger players because they're giving them that priority drafting, and they want to do that. And honestly, so is SaintRose. As you can see, the Ezreal and the Ornn pick coming in as well. Ornn actually going into the top lane, but that first pick of the Ezreal. Now, I really want to deep dive into the types of compositions that UAlbany is going to be playing in terms of what they're trying to achieve on the map. To be very brief, the best thing you want to do in League of Legends is catch as many waves as possible while taking as many towers as possible and getting as many objectives as possible. Now, of course, you can't do all of those at once. You're competing between objectives of the Rift Herald on the top side with the Dragon on the bottom. The Rift Herald is used in being able to secure those towers more quickly, doing a ton of damage, and then you can push in through those towers with it, make sieging a little easier. While Dragon, once you hit 4 of them in a row, you get to Soul Point and you get a ton of stats boosts, and this is really important being to end the game. Once that Dragon is down, you get to Elder Dragon, which gives an insane amount of damage burst, and then you also have a Baron up in the top side where Herald used to spawn. And what that gives you is a tremendous boost to your minion waves if you are near them as the team that has taken them, and that again helps you siege into those inner Nexus turrets and into the base of the enemy team. So again, in terms of your overall macro goals, that's what you're looking for. But in between those, you have those micro goals of actually facing in those matchups between the lanes. So here we can see that we are banning certain champions again, and it's all about having that impact on one side of the map while keeping pressure on the other, which is why the Gangplank ban came out here on the side of SaintRose. They don't want that full ulti being able to add that damage from the side, and Sylas just an extremely strong pick. Yasuo and Kassadin also banned out here on the side of UAlbany. Again, champions that are very slippery, have a lot of mobility, makes it hard to land CS against them, hard to deal with, although Kassadin does lose lane pretty hard early on to compensate for his hard style of carrying that can be possible once you reach level 11, get that second level on your ultimate. So what they're drafting here is more of a siege composition. We have the Varus, especially since this was streamed back in May when Varus was an extremely strong pick, being with that lethality build, being able to poke people out again behind tower range, putting that damage in, and then being able to get that attack speed bonus off of a kill just to siege those towers quickly. Braum again with that passive. And we can see that Reaper 789 will be on the Kayn this game, and I want you guys to take a note of that because when we take a look at the ECAC final, we're going to be able to see that he's on the Kayn pick there as well, and some of the gameplay strategies that he's using here in terms of his invades and in terms of taking the crabs and what his pathing is going to look like, I think kind of preceded what we would see later in that tournament and in terms of the adjustments that they made after dropping the match. Now, it's important to note that while here we have Focus My ADC as a support, that is not the full roster. They do have alternates, and there was a different support in the first game against ECAC, and so we'll be able to see that difference of play in terms of how the team adapts to them. And so now we've completed the draft. We can see that Corki in the mid lane on the right side here extremely high poke champion, big damage Ezreal as well. So really a poke comp coming out from the side of SaintRose, where they have a lot of that consistent damage. Fiddlesticks and the Ornn with ultis to engage, a Nautilus with hooks to try and catch people out. So a strong pick composition with some poke coming out the back. But we have that Cassiopeia with the sustained long-term damage, the Mordekaiser who can get extremely tanky and do damage, and Kayn extremely slippery, able to go through those walls of the jungle and get that knock-up with the Varus to finish them off, and the Braum to support them. So that's the kind of team comp. Now, usually Kayn into a Fiddlesticks composition is pretty weak in the early game for Fiddlesticks. Fiddlesticks really needs his strong AP itemization and a high level advantage over the Kayn. So if Kayn can get an early invade off, that will usually result in some pretty far losses for the Fiddlesticks, putting them behind. And as a jungler, you want to be getting those invades in, you want to be getting that type of pressure and keeping it consistent onto the enemy jungler, denying them that pressure, denying them that experience, and keeping them under-leveled. In terms of being able to under-level someone on the enemy team, the jungler is the best person to do it too, as they're not in a lane constantly. They don't have that constant source of experience coming from the minions, and so that would be someone to focus. In terms of the Mordekaiser Ornn matchup, Ornn should be going straight tank, straight utility, but he does have a lot of damage coming in through that fire, through the burn, and then being able to get his team extra items that only he can. So now, as we can see here in this replay, this was paused due to a internet connection error. So we're just going to go ahead and fast forward to the start of the game. And I want to really take your attention and put it to the fight going on here in the top lane. We have that Mordekaiser against the Ornn, but I guess the camera is going to switch down here to the bot lane. With the Varus, he's able to push it out, get that advantage, and so the Cassiopeia also is able to push in. So in terms of being able to get a very slight gold lead, it does seem like Dullin on the side of Varus seems to have a better, does a better job of CSing here as opposed to Bro Ronan on the Ezreal. But here we can see, so it's a pretty evenly paused matchup right now. But if we look at the minimap, Kayn is now signaling that he wants to get into the Rift Herald. So again, we want to try to take those objectives off of the map. And so what Kayn sees is that with Rift Herald not yet spawned, but Fiddlesticks having vision control on the bottom drag side, in order to get these objectives in terms of Herald, Towers, or Dragon, you want to get a gank, force the enemy laner out with the flash, or get a kill outright. This gives up priority. You can then shove the lane in, and over here we can see that here Cassiopeia is able to get that priority, get that first blood onto Corki, and we see Reaper coming into the top side, forcing what's going to look like a oh, he didn't have to flash, but Ornn has a pretty strong disengage case. But here they have that priority, and so now Kayn, if it comes up, is going to be going for the Rift Herald, or maybe even a regank onto the side of SaintRose. Corki having to burn both his flash to get out of that initial engage from the Cassiopeia, dies for it, and has to blow his TP on the way back. So Corki now much less safe in lane. He does have a built-in escape with his W into his kit, but pretty limited. But if we look at Fiddlesticks here, we can see that now that they saw the Kayn on the top side, getting that vision control and then being spotted by the ward, Fiddle now knows that he's most likely going to back, and that's why he feels safe being able to get that jungle pressure in his red side of the map. Now he's backing back too, trying to get that second jungle item and shove it in more. Now what's going to happen with Fiddlesticks is he really needs his ultimate to be able to engage. He has the burst coming in through his runes there, but you'd be pretty mispositioned to be able to take damage from Fiddlesticks without his ulti, so he's pretty reliant on getting it there. We can see in the bot lane here a freeze is being set up on the side of UAlbany, trying to force the Nautilus and the Ezreal into forcing them closer down the lane. And so if Kayn wants to show up, they would have to kite all the way down the lane, get back to the safety of their tower, setting it up for them. Now the reason they're doing this is because they see that the dragons come up, Kayn's on the bot side, and so is Fiddlesticks, so they're going to try and see who can get priority here and who can go for this dragon. Meanwhile, some good pressure being put on the Mordekaiser, from the Mordekaiser, excuse me, onto the Ornn into the top side. And so here we can see, as we're looking at the jungler, they're trying to get maybe mid priority, maybe get a pick onto either Corki or the Fiddlesticks. And Unfortunately, that W is not going to land, so he has to give up. Corki's seen him. There's no point pursuing it, and while he was going for that, Fiddle actually did try and start the dragon. Unfortunately, because bot lane does not have priority, they know that if they were to rotate, bot lane would quickly follow, and they do not go in. Meanwhile, Ornn trying to all in the Mordekaiser, but unsuccessfully. Mordekaiser just does too much consistent overall burn damage. And then we see a little bit of a bad situation for Reaper to be put in here, where he's taking both the damage from the Fiddlesticks and the dragon. And so because of that sloppy mistake getting caught out in the river, they are actually able to go and do it uncontested. Now, bot lane is rotating up towards them, but you cannot see where their jungler is. Kane's very low. He might have to rotate, but they are actually able to force them off. It's the Cassiopeia and the pressure off of her. That bot lane rotation came there just in time, because the Corki, he has strong damage, but not quite yet. He needs that man immune. He needs the Triforce. He isn't where he needs to be yet. Maybe if he had package, they could have forced some sort of disengage and really scattered that team composition, but wasn't able to happen there. Now we can see everyone trying to all in on the Dullen. We have the Ornn ulti coming in and onto the Bard. But with the Mordekaiser TP coming back in there, they can trade back the damage, trading already an 0-for-1 trade on the side of UAlbany, and Ornn goes down as well. So Dullen is able to get that consistent damage out, but it's Cafu who gets on the Mordekaiser, able to kill. And now Kane also focusing on the Ezreal, forced to flash. Ezreal basically has a built-in flash on his E ability, but that not enough. Even the first one to dodge it had to use his actual hard flash, and now Ezreal is in a relatively more dangerous position. Ezreal still probably one of the most safe AD carry picks due to his blink ability, but without the flash, he now has no sort of backup if that were to go through. And here there was a pause on the side of UAlbany due to some technical issues, so we're going to go ahead and fast forward. So here we can see them resume the game. Dullen was able to back and get his strong items back in. Unfortunately, through this view, we are not able to see the itemization. That's something that in the ECAC final we'll be able to see. But again, we can see a lot of pressure, a lot of support coming in from the side of UAlbany onto Dullen and his Varus play. Again, this is prior to the Varus nerfs, where he received a nerf onto his AD scaling and onto the strength of his passive stacking as well, as the range on some of his abilities. So as a result of that, not exactly a popular pick, but at the time pretty strong. Now we see Corki using his package, trying to disengage the team, trying to save the Fiddlesticks. Kane flashes in, feared by the Fiddlesticks, and he is taken out by that long range fear and swipe. But UAlbany trying to trade back, trying to get onto the Ornn, both very low, wasting the dash onto Ornn, trying to race away. But Mordekaiser able to grab enemies back towards him, cannot land the grab, and they're chasing. But Cassiopeia, they know that they're going to have to get the kill here. Corki trying his hardest. Fiddlesticks re-engaging with the ulti, killing the Cassiopeia, and now it's Mordekaiser trying to 2v1, trying to 3v1, able to kill the Corki and taking out Fiddle. You can drain as much health as you want. That's magic pen damage coming in, and Mordekaiser with a strong finish. Kafui being able to be that team's rock onto the top side. Now, what happened there is they were not counting on the Fiddle ulti being on such a short cooldown that they could actually use it. The fight was such an extended fight that they were able to get it off more than once there. And so Reaper was really trying to go for the pick, trying to zone him off, but wasn't able to do it. Died for it. But with Fiddle dead, and so was Corki, and so was Ornn, they're actually still able to get that Rift Herald in the end, and now they have some sort of pressure on those turrets, being able to summon the Rift Herald. Basically, if you can play it correctly and summon him at the right spot, guarantees you a massive bit of damage onto a tower, as well as with a support rune that helps you do that as well. So now we can see the bot lane priority coming in onto the bot side. Varus is just doing a little bit too much damage for the Ezreal to stay comfy. Even with Conquer, he's just not able to heal up as fast as he needs to, and so they're giving them the respect and they're backing off a little bit, letting them, trying to reset the wave, trying to keep it frozen more in the middle of the lane. Now, for those of you new to League of Legends, a freeze refers to where these enemy minions are. You can see the red ones and the blue ones at two different sides, and so you can see where it is that wave crashes into each other and where that action takes place. The further down in the lane it is, the more exposed you are to ganks coming through that mid river. And we can see here how Dullen is pushing in, trying to use as much of that poke built into his kit as he can, disrupting the backs, forcing them to delay it even further. Now they can shove in the wave and deny them that wave. So you always want to be catching as many waves as you can. And if you can't get them, you're losing experience, you're losing gold, and you're giving up a gold lead. So here we can see a 2,000 gold lead, a 2,300 gold lead onto the side of UAlbany as a result of all those kills, as a result of that pressure, but they have not yet to use Rift Herald. So here we're going to take a look exactly where they're trying to use it. SaintRose getting a reset on their blue side and giving that blue buff over to the side of Corki, but now Mordekaiser is extremely fed, and unfortunately the Ornn has to respect it. He can't go for those trades. Anything shorter than just a one poke trade coming in from the Ornn is going to result in a death. Corki now has to still respect Cassiopeia, absolutely able to burst down Corki, but it's kind of an all-in from Cass that allows that to happen, while Corki can kind of poke and disengage, poke and disengage. So that's the type of fight that we are looking for. But Kayn and Fiddle both trying to play around this dragon that has spawned right back now. While you really want to get as many of these dragons as you can. So Mordekaiser on the top side, putting pressure there, while Kayn and Fiddlesticks set up vision control around it. Bot side, both poised, both bot laners, both teams in the bot lane poised to rotate to the dragon. So we can see where Kayn is. He's pathing to his red side buff, taking his Krugs. They do have the vision into the blue side of SaintRose. They can see that's happening, but Varus able to all in, and they have now established bot lane priority. A kill going on to the Ezreal, and the Mr. Washi Washi going down as well on that Nautilus. And now they have firmly established that bot lane priority. Corki TPing into mid lane because they know that they're going to have to contest this dragon. They do not want to give two away. They contested the first one, gave it away. They're going to try and do something here, but unfortunately, no TP is the TP is down on the top side from Ornn, who's chunked out and forced out of lane by the Mordekaiser. No pressure coming in from him, and so they cannot contest here. So this is extremely important. I want to point this out. So Kayn had the option of either being able to force down the mid lane, where Corki and the Fiddlesticks were available, or they could go for the dragon while dropping the Rift Herald. So many low-level players think that it's actually a choice. You have to do one or the other. He knows that they have bot lane priority, and they know that as a result of that priority, they can take the dragon. Cassiopeia rotates in with Kayn to take that dragon, but not before Kayn drops the Rift Herald into the bot side, that way making sure that they here secure both the dragon and are able to take bot turret. So this is what playing around a strong bot lane could do. You establish that priority. You deny waves based on losing matchups, at least not in terms of pure composition, but in terms of execution here, and the mid laners are able to rotate. Corki there forced to respect the damage from Cassiopeia. He cannot survive an all-in, especially if she lands ulti. Cassiopeia extremely bursty, getting that magic pen onto Corki. He's just trying to poke, re-engage. He's happy just poking it out, being able to get that consistent CS, and now as you can see into the actual replay, we're able to see how the teams are itemized. Corki going for that cull and into the Triforce, not the mana immune, so still mana a bit of an issue for him, which is why they were able to give him that blue buff early. Now we can see how much armor shred the E is able to do. Corki's E is able to do onto Cassiopeia, but without it, we just saw that normal, not boosted rocket, not doing as much poke. So Corki really needs an extended poke, disengage type of fight to be able to chunk Cassiopeia, where Cassiopeia can just in one smooth motion just commit all in, and if Corki's not smart with his positioning, he can get chunked here. Just the one hit could be enough. He's forced to W out again. The immense damage coming out of Cassiopeia. Once she all ins, it's either a kill or a flash coming out of Corizons there on the Corki in the mid lane. So in all three lanes, priority has been dropped, and UAlbany is here, but going a little bit greedy for the kill onto the Corki, and a Fiddle behind him. Fiddle forcing him and zoning him in between the no man's land, between two towers, and a kill over onto the side of SaintRose. They are able to take one kill off of Albany, but Albany not dropping a single sweat, taking the top tower to trade them, saying that if you're going to send those amount of resources onto taking the Cassiopeia, we are going to punish you on the other side of the map, as well as invading the jungle, trying to get another kill onto the Fiddlesticks. Unfortunately, Braum passive does tap out there, and an overextension onto the side of the UAlbany bot lane. They did not have vision. They were not expecting that collapse coming in a very greedy play. As soon as they took that tower, they should have backed off or committed to getting more damage onto that tier 2, maybe shoving in that wave a little bit harder, denying the farm. But UAlbany was not able to do that, and so SaintRose goes and sends their bot lane to try and catch that wave. They know that they can't try and do that in the bot lane anymore, so they're doing a bit of a lane swap to try and keep that CS up, try to keep the experience gap from getting too intense. Although if we look, Dullen is one level ahead of Ezreal. Ezreal at level 9, and Dullen, well, now they just got back up to even, but prior to that, they did have that level advantage, and Mordekaiser in the top lane is still maintaining that level advantage, 11 to 10 versus the Ornn forced to push these side lanes. They're rotating, but again, Mordekaiser able to push the lane and walk away. We saw earlier how it takes 2 to 3 people to even attempt to kill Mordekaiser, and not successfully at that, but Focus My ADC is trying to maintain vision. This Herald is ticking down. They are trying to get the last one. Herald, of course, going away at 20 minutes. And so after that, it is a Baron buff, but they're just faking it. They're just trying to get some vision and control of the top side river. SaintRose will be going in onto it, but here we can see that, again, the supports are trying to maybe catch some hooks, try to catch somebody out. Focus My ADC had already been caught out previously. SaintRose looking if they can do it again, but they're going to disengage. They're just trying to establish vision control. The two teams trying to figure out how hard are we actually going to fight for this Rift Herald. What do they stand to gain? This is a must. SaintRose needs to grab at least one tower off the map. They haven't been able to grab a single one. Fiddlesticks ultis are really their best source of engage, but he gets caught out even with the stopwatch. The Varus ulti takes him down, and a great pick removing SaintRose's jungler off of the map, and that has been their style of being able to secure these objectives. On the Dragon Pit, you saw it, and now up top for the Rift Herald. And even in the previous attempt on the Rift Herald, they're trying to focus onto the jungler on the enemy team. They're exploiting their lack of vision, and as soon as they see him, they commit all in, because once that smite from the jungler is down, they know that they would not be able to contest that objective, and that's Rift Herald number 2 going over onto the side of UAlbany. Now, an interesting play here is we're going to watch, focus your eyes onto the bottom right side. We can see Kayn is going for a full clear of his red side jungle, while Fiddlesticks is maintaining his jungle, but unfortunately finds most of it gone. Again, going down to that counter jungling effort coming in from Reaper 789 onto the Kayn. Unfortunately, we can see that Fiddlesticks actually, despite all those kills Fiddlesticks has, those 3 kills he's been able to secure, Kayn is so successful at that counter jungling effort, keeping that CS, that they are still tied for levels based on that farm. So just because he has a kill advantage doesn't necessarily mean they are getting that level of level advantage. And so we can see now that they're trying to go for this second dragon, or at least set up vision, third dragon, excuse me. And at the 18-minute mark, that is going to be the last Rift Herald that spawns. So the next time there's going to be a fight in the top side river, it is going to be over the Baron buff. And I just want to point out that in every single lane we can see, the laners are shoving those lanes in. They have that priority. They have that distance where they have to respect them. Corki not even showing his face in mid lane against his Cassiopeia anymore. He knows it's a losing matchup on his end. He has to try and catch bot lane side lanes now, trying desperately to get that advantage and try to get some semblance of a build back on. He just cannot poke them out. He knows that he has to wait for either a miracle Nautilus hook, an ulti, or some sort of full engage coming in on the side of Fiddlesticks, chaining it into a ulti coming in from Ornn, but nothing of the sort is coming. They're purely trying to turtle it right now. But for some reason, and this is where I think UAlbany makes a critical mistake in this game, is they could have ended this sooner if they had devoted more of their resources onto the bot side sooner. I feel like with Mordekaiser pushing solo, he did not have as much pressure into the side lanes as they could have had. If you look at more high elo teams, they will often commit just a bit of a roam, not necessarily fully a 2-man push, but they will have a second man to back them up if they need to. Meanwhile, to SaintRose, they have no vision on the dragon, and that is dragon number 3 coming over onto the side of UAlbany, absolutely dominating dragon control and objective control. this game. If they give, it's basically GG, guys. If you give up a 4th dragon, that will be the end of the game. And Corki with his passive, that's huge damage that's coming out from that W. If you can land it offensively, again, caught out there, forced to use it defensively, and they will not be using it as an engaged tool, rather as a disengaged tool, as UAlbany shoves it down the mid lane and is trying to siege this tier 1 turret onto the mid lane. Braum able to use his passive there to try his runes there to get some more damage. But the re-engage from Fiddlesticks, that was the play. They needed it. That's the only thing they could have hoped for, and they got it. Fiddlesticks being able to take out and fear the entire team, while Cassiopeia and Varus are taken down by the insane damage coming out from Corki with those bursts. It's again being able to land it if you can get those repeated Qs into the rockets, into the armor shredding coming in from the E and the free damage. You can get a lot. And again, his damage is split due to his passive between magical damage and physical damage. Hard to itemize against Corki damage there. And we can see a pretty successful team fight. That is the saving grace of SaintRose, is those flash fiddle engages with the collapse from their bot lanes and the consistent damage coming out of the Corki. So that was a overextension onto the side of UAlbany. It's very important to have that vision around the river and into their enemy jungler when you're trying to go for those mid lane pushes. And also, a critical mistake was not having their top laner. If Mordekaiser had been there, or on a side lane, is not going to be able to shove towers too quickly, I think they could have gotten away with sending the Mordekaiser with them in the mid lane. That would have had a lot more pressure. And as we saw, Mordekaiser is capable of 1v2ing, even 1v3ing as he did earlier. Keifu actually being able to take down the Fiddlesticks when he tried to do that exact same ulti play onto him. So I feel like it would have been to the advantage of UAlbany to have that top laner who is so dominant in this game, and Mordekaiser, who is able to use his death sentence to get people away from the entire team. He could even isolate Fiddlesticks, pop the ulti onto him, and now suddenly he is isolated. He cannot interact in any way with the rest of his team. And he's forced into that Shadow Realm 1v1 with Mordekaiser. Sending him to the Shadow Realm could be what we wanted here. And again, another ulti from Fiddlesticks, but rooted, taken out, and killed by the Mordekaiser. It's almost as if this replay is listening to me, because that's exactly what they did. If the first siege wasn't successful, they sent the Mordekaiser, and this time he is able to remove the Fiddlesticks. They had no flank coming in from the bot side, and so their bot laners were actually in front of the towers there as well. And while the tower doesn't go down, there really is only one successful play that they can move here, and it is that ulti from the side of SaintRose from the Fiddlesticks, and unable to do it. Ezreal's left to fend for himself, and tier 1 in the mid lane finally, after 22 minutes, is able to go down. That's how you push your advantage. A 6-0 Mordekaiser, Haunted Guys complete, Nashor's Tooth complete. He is just tearing it up there in the top side. Meanwhile, 0-4 Ornn and Corki actually is finished his man immune, so that's why you could see some of his burst damage coming in as UAlbany rotates to the bot side, trying to catch out this Ornn. He's extremely tanky, but not tanky enough to take Varus down, and Varus is able to do it, being able to grab another kill onto Varus. 5-2-4. Now, this was actually not some of those meta builds for Varus that we were able to see in solo queue around this time that was focused on lethality. This is more of an attack speed build, going for that Rage Blade, going for that Bork. So while the burst is out there from his enhanced WQ, he's really playing off of his passive and trying to proc those corruptions off of his passive, using that attack speed and being able to get that consistent damage down. He is up. Actually, he's down CS against Ezreal. So Born Ronin seems to be better at rotating and catching the waves. But as we can see, since it was more of a priority onto the Ezreal to get that man immune, he now has it fully stacked, and the tier is stacked, so he's getting that bonus damage. But it doesn't matter. Fiddle caught out again with the Varus ultimate, able to dodge the enhanced Q and Bard. Unfortunately, Braum will die as a result of that, and the Fiddle ulti re-engage. A big misplay on the side of UAlbany, just giving up the priority. And even though Braum goes down, it's more the fact that Cassiopeia is not available for that burst composition. They're running it down, but SaintRose doesn't really know what they want. They don't think they can commit to Baron. They don't think they have the damage yet, and Dragon is coming up, so they're going to try and at least shove out this wave towards the mid-tide tower and then rotate to the drag. They're really trying to prevent UAlbany from getting this 4th dragon. Getting a 4th dragon would be absolutely disastrous For SaintRose, it would be the end, but they are able to prevent it. So an overextension, an overzealous play. They thought they caught out Fiddlesticks, but they were not able to do it and committed too hard. Cassiopeia going down, the Braum going down, giving up the priority, and allowing SaintRose to at least, if not win the game, claw their way back. Say they're telling UAlbany, one more minute here, guys. You can't quite take us down this easily. Able to deny them that dragon. And of course, UAlbany is trying to rotate to Baron, saying, okay, fine, you got the dragon. We're going to just have to siege your comp all the way in. And with no vision on the side of SaintRose, they can't see what's happening. They just know that they're not on the map, and that's Baron taken down. So they say, okay, you're gonna punish us? Good, you punished us. You took that dragon, but they were able to secure the Baron, and now this is where they're going to try and get those game-ending sieges in. Even with Ornn pushing side lanes, the blue side is still pushing into him. And Cassiopeia is now shoving it up into the top side as well. So UAlbany is able to take what was an overzealous play on the side of Dullen on trying to catch out the Fiddlesticks. They overextended. They lost the dragon, but as they lose dragon, they come back in a singular voice, say, okay, we got to take this Baron. We got to deny this from them. And that's a strategy that we're going to see in their series against the Rams in the final. This was just the playoffs in the first round of the ECAC, but it's a strategy that they have been using consistently. When they give up the dragon, they don't say, that's it, and they just try to go and reset the waves. No, if they got punished for an overextension and they take an objective, they're going to counter with an objective. Good macro play on the side of UAlbany here. And as we can see now with the Dragon Pit, there's no chance whatsoever that SaintRose is going to be able to counter push, even against some of their weaker laners here, even against the Cassiopeia, who is down in CS and kills to Corki. It's no longer going to be a solo mid, not at this point, not at 26 minutes in the game. There's always going to be a 1-3-1 on the side of both of these teams. Unfortunately, unfortunately on this side, he's just not going to be able to push. Mordekaiser is just way too tanky, and Ornn, while is going for a Thornmail, a Brandle Vest, trying to realize that if he's going to be dying 5 times in a game, he might as well try and trade some of that physical damage coming in from the Varus, from the Mordekaiser back onto their team into the form of return damage. I don't think it's going to be enough here. Mordekaiser just too strong with the Gnasher's Tooth, the Haunting Guys, and now the Zhonya's Hourglass engage. Between the Zhonya's Hourglass and his ulti, he now has 2 tools of removing himself from dangerous situations while being able to pull enemy teams into their team. And now the siege with the Baron buff continues into the mid lane. So as we're looking back here at the ECAC playoff round 1 against SaintRose, just to give a quick recap, we have seen that UAlbany was able to contest 3 out of the 4 dragons. Unfortunately, an overzealous play on the side of Varus led to them being caught, and it looks like it's going to happen here again, pushing up in the mid lane with no support, with no vision, coming in from the side lanes. The Corki damage onto the side of UAlbany, and that Fiddle ulti again. This is what I wanted to emphasize. Again, they are making the same mistakes. It's that bot lane Varus and Braum comp thinking they can take on whatever they can because they have the ulti, but it's not enough. Fiddle ulti coming in from the side of SaintRose from out of vision. You cannot react to a Fiddle ulti, and it happens twice in a row. A severe mistake on the side of UAlbany. It won't cost them this game, but it would be a crucial mistake to make against higher seeded, higher skilled teams. You cannot be forcing mid lane with no vision and just allowing an entire team collapse upon you. The top laners and Cassiopeia, they weren't even pushing side lanes there. Not even trading a 1-3-1. They were so pushed far back. They were pushed so far back that they weren't even giving any sort of cross map pressure, and that's why SaintRose felt that they could collapse on them in the way that they did. And now what it does is it sets up an even more heated fight for the 4th dragon. SaintRose knows this is the one thing they cannot allow UAlbany to grab. It would be the end of the game. It would spell disaster for SaintRose if they were to give it up. Now UAlbany going for a bit of a cheeky invade here, setting up some vision, maybe going for that 3-man gank, 3-man cheese, trying to see if Corky, maybe the Fiddlesticks will face check, but they re-engage onto the Braum. They can't get him down. The Fiddle ulti is popped. He goes down as well. Kane able to get that damage down. Cassiopeia with his dying breath. Kane is able to get a 3-man knockup. Fiddlesticks grabbed back by Mordekaiser, and Cassiopeia is still alive, getting consistent burning damage onto the carries. Ezreal, 20% health. Corky, 10% health, and they cannot contest this, but they're going to try to. Varus, dangerously low as well, grab some of those healing pots, and they are here. Ornn has teleported. He's in this fight, and they actually might be able to force them off of this dragon here. Again, the dragon is the objective that they are trying to make sure that under no circumstances they get it. They're really trying to balance this aggro, dancing around the dragon, zoning them off. Cassiopeia at full health. You don't want any of this. Ornn chunked out, fleeing, and that's the 4th dragon going over onto the side of UAlbany. UAlbany absolutely grabbing every objective they can. A close try from the snipe of Varus there from the Q, not going to connect onto Born Ronin. And now they have the advantage. Now they have the 4th dragon. They have Soul Point, and so they were able to get that extra cloud damage coming in from the cloud buff, Cloud Dragon. And now Baron coming up. So it seems, in terms of UAlbany's playstyle, at least to me, that they do get caught, but they're good at instantly recognizing what they lost, looking at the map, and trying to immediately react. They're very good at reacting to almost being put in a position of being behind. Even now, they seem to be poised to win this game. They don't have that much of a huge gold lead. 4,000, 3 to 4,000 gold lead isn't at this point they have a 3.3k gold lead. Not that much for how dominant these side lanes have been. For a 7-0 Mordekaiser, there should be a way bigger gold lead on the side of UAlbany, but they do seem to get caught and allow SaintRose to get these opportunities, get these chances back in. And unfortunately, some of the damage on UAlbany isn't able to connect with some of the CC, as we saw Kane was able to land a 2 to 3 man knock up there in that previous fight. But Cassiopeia and Varus were unfortunately zoned so far away that they couldn't follow up, Kane dying there for nothing. But again, they were able to take that drag, and now they know that they have the strength to be able to take this Baron. Finally, some vision on the side of SaintRose to at least see what's happening. Fiddle is going to try and go, and he's able to steal it. He'll die for his trouble, but Fiddle able to steal the Baron, buying SaintRose just a bit more time. I mean, that has to be just a phenomenal failure of smiting from the side of Reaper. No reason he shouldn't have been able to steal it, but a phenomenal play on the side of Bungasaurus there to try and get that Fiddle ulti into the smite, able to steal. And again, they keep overextending onto the mid lane when they can't have the pressure. As you see here, UAlbany tries to be like, wait, we don't have Baron, but let's just pretend like we do. Let's just siege down the mid lane turrets. We'll be able to do this, right? That'll end well, but they can't. The Baron buff onto the minions, forcing them away. They can't siege. Baron isn't just a mental state. It is very much a physical booster to those minions. And so because of that, they try to have that aggro attitude of having taken the Baron, but they don't. They can't push up. And again, some more mistakes on the side of UAlbany there. No reason to try and push that, to try and force that down the mid lane when you do not have the Baron buff. Maybe there was some split comms there and they actually weren't aware that they hadn't taken the Baron buff, but in either way, not a good look for them. What they should have been doing there is resetting the waves and getting ready to counter the push coming in from the side of SaintRose. Corky in the top side being able to push that wave out, Ornn in the bot lane. They're going to have some trouble here. I mean, Baron buff is no joke. They can't necessarily. It's more of a denial Baron buff. I don't know how many objectives they're actually going to be able to get off of this Baron, but it does seem that they're going to be able to at least crucially postpone the side of UAlbany from being able to push further into their base, stalling it out as it seems, and some big damage coming out onto Cassiopeia. He misses the hook. He's stunned by the ulti. And a strong disengage coming over from the side of Cassiopeia. Varus taking the fight to the Ornn, saying, hey, you don't want the smoke. I got so much damage, man. He's got the Runon's Hurricane completed, the Guinsu's, the Bork. He goes down. Cassiopeia takes down the Mr. Washi Washi on the Nautilus. That is the second tankiest member of SaintRose. But again, that shred coming in from the Cassiopeia, too strong for them. Caught out again. And unfortunately, with that pick comes the end of the SaintRose siege. They no longer have that threat of the engage. First, he flash Q'd to try and get the Cassiopeia. She dodged it. She hit him with the ulti, stunned him in place, and now she's able to trade the kill. Don't come for my throat, he says. I'll come for yours, and there he goes. A strong kill and an invade coming in from Kane onto the Fiddlesticks into his own blue side. An Ornn ulti trying to disengage him, but a second W stun. Fully able to zone Fiddlesticks out here. The silence coming in, and the Braum ulti popped. The Fiddlesticks flash, and Reaper is able to get a solo pick onto their enemy jungler. And the fight keeps continuing. Ornn forced to ulti out. Cannot do it. Dashes out only to his death. Ezreal forced to flash. And now Nautilus again taken down. Coming in just to die. A triple kill going down onto the side of Dullen there onto the Varus. And now they're going to try and go for this Elder Dragon, excuse me. They're going to try and go for it, clearing their blue side jungle. And that's their recipe for victory. So again, in this game, it seems to have been a trade looking at onto the side of who was getting caught out more. Fiddle just not expecting that Kane invasion. And from that invade comes a triple kill to Varus. I mean, that's it. That's all it is. That's all it took. They're going to go now. They're going to reset, and they're still going to wait on the timer for this Elder Dragon, it seems. But again, it seems to be a team not necessarily knowing where to put their pressure, not sure where to put their lanes. Corki really trying his best. Ornn being able to give them the enhanced Triforce items, but still not enough to be able to try and take these fights. They know they can't contest in a straight 5v5, but they may be forced to. UAlbany now going for this Elder Dragon. Corki from the side, trying to get some poke down, trying to force it engage, but a TP coming in from Mordekaiser means this is going to be secured. They get the dragon, but a fight breaks out. Ornn ulti onto the side. Reaper's going to go down onto there, caught out by the Nautilus, and then we have the Cassiopeia ulti coming in. The Corki damage, the Mordekaiser locking them down. Varus all the while doing consistent damage through those auto attacks, and another double kill onto Dullen after that fight, and that's going to be game coming out from the side. Oh, Cassiopeia flashing to try and go for the Ezreal, but Ezreal able to dodge it, able to get it out there, but he cannot do anything to stop this mid lane push right now. Absolutely annihilating the team comp of SaintRose there with the consistent damage coming from both Mordekaiser, Varus, and Cassiopeia. They're able to kite out. They're able to take the re-engage. And it seems like all of the CC went to go on the side of SaintRose was trying to get Reaper into a vulnerable position. And while they succeeded, Reaper is not the source of damage. He had one job in that fight, and it was to secure the dragon. He was able to get it, Elder Drag, going on to the side of UAlbany. And after that siege, they're going to just reset. They're going to take it with just the inhibitor. They don't want to overextend again. They've done it twice this game already in terms of pushing a bit too far. Dullen specifically doesn't want to get caught out again, so they're just going to reset, take that red buff, and then they're going to try and make a play around the Baron buff. Unfortunately, with those death timers are not quite low enough at the moment for them to be able to force the entire team down. Might have been able to go for it, but they thought it was too risky, so now we're going to look. It's going to be what looks like a Baron fight on our hands. Absolutely something that if SaintRose wanted to come back in this game, they would have to grab. No way to recover if this Baron comes down, even on the strong amount of wave clear coming out from the Corki and the Ornn. They would not be able to withstand a Baron empowered siege onto their side. And again, with that Realm of Death coming out from the Mordekaiser, worth pointing out, an 8-0 performance from Cafu. Onto this Mordekaiser, a full build, Abyssal Mask. I guess he might be going for Void Staff there with that Blasting Wand. We'll see how that ends up planning out. But abysmal performance from Liquid Sun this game. 0-7 so far onto the Ornn. Really just taking up he seems to be taking it upon himself to really be the source of engage, trying to catch out those members of UAlbany, but they are just unable to do it. The Danes too strong And now they're going to look like they're trying to set up some vision in the top side. Maybe catch Corki out, but he's able to back quickly enough. TP right back to the top side. Both teams know that this is going to be a Baron fight. And now another cheeky trying to play kind of coming over here from UAlbany. No vision on the side of SaintRose, but they know there's somewhere over there. They know that they're obviously trying to go for this dragon. Mia Ping coming out. They're not sure where they're going. Fiddlesticks might wander. Ornn might get caught here. Oh, and they're rotating from both sides, collapsing onto the side of SaintRose's red side. Now they're spotted by the red buff, and there's going to be a fight now. Corki forced to rotate, forced to W away, and they have cleared that pressure for Baron, fully zoning SaintRose away from the Baron buff, and they are going to start the fight. Beautiful pressure of a collapse, and now as SaintRose realizes what's happening, they're going for this Baron, but it's already too late. Just that pressure from that team able to keep them away. No fight needed, just the threat. Too much for SaintRose to try and contest there. A big mistake. They had to go big or go home. That was the time to try and fight, and Corki needed to get some more damage onto the side of Reaper. Maybe try chunk him out, make him unable to go for the Baron, but unable to do any of those things, and they have now given up 2 Barons, a Elder Dragon, and 4 normal dragons. So a big objective loss on the side of SaintRose, and UAlbany is now comfortably cruising with a 10k gold lead. Still, in my opinion, pretty low gold lead for what should be an 11-3 Varus and an 8-0 Mordekaiser, but got a pick going on to the side of Liquid Sun 123, and again, he has taken down 8 deaths coming in from him this performance. And this time they're overextending, but they do have, well, they're just kind of extending here because they do have that pressure. They're trying to force it in. This is what they're going to try to go to end the game through this top side inhib tower. They're going to try and force it down, but still some pretty good wave clear coming out of that 7-3 Corki. He has that IE. He has the Phantom Dancer. He has Man Immune complete, the enhanced Triforce, and he has the Scepter there. Scimitar, excuse me, with the QSS built into it to try and counteract Cassiopeia. 2 of them, actually, both on Corki and Ezreal. A quick QSS passive, but unable to take him out there, and Mordekaiser grabs bot lane inhib. There's now 2 inhibs down, 3 inhibs down. UAlbany sieging in for the game here after being unable to do it twice before. Now with this Baron buff, they're coming in with it. No steal this time around. No, sir. They got it right in. And another. Honestly, Reaper has been very good with landing these multi-man knockups. A good big fight breaking out here. Varus again, double kill. Mordekaiser also grabbing a kill there. 2 kills as well. And that's going to be game. Just a huge amount of damage. Too much to even track. A 10-1. He'll end the game. Kafui on that Mordekaiser with a 13-3 performance from Varus. So what do we see from this game, guys? What we see is a team that might be going a little too aggressive, but knows exactly where they want to stop, knows exactly where their best effort can be put as soon as they get into a position where they might go behind, where they might be giving away some points. They know what to do. They get caught by Varus. Varus gets caught out, excuse me. Fiddle ulti comes in. They know that they're giving up Dragon for that. They rush it over to the top side, get themselves a Baron, get themselves some tower, push in some waves, give that cross map pressure. So I really want to commend, while UAlbany did overextend a couple times here, the strong macro play coming out of them, especially on that final fight around Baron, being able to zone out SaintRose completely from the pit, making sure that they can't even go for that steal. They saw it. They didn't want that steal to happen a second time. They had to give them that respect with the Cassiopeia and the Varus, the chain of ultis coming in, as well as the Mordekaiser Death Sentence Prison Realm. Again, very strong, and so they were able to make sure that SaintRose can't even get within the Baron pit, and by the time they do, it's already gone. So a great performance from Kafui once again onto the Mordekaiser. And what I want you guys to take note of is how Varus was able to get that bot lane priority. The entire first team fight happened as a result of being able to force them out of lane. Cassiopeia doing the same thing to Corki there. So really, we're seeing UAlbany capitalize on winning their lanes and grabbing objectives based off of where that priority is lying. A commanding performance from them in this game. Let's take a look at how they use this exact technique in the ECAC final.